पिया का मार्ग सुगम है, तेरा चलन अबेढ़ा। नाच न जाने बापुरो, कहे आंगन टेढ़ा कबीरा, कहे आंगन टेढ़ा। पिया का मार्ग सुगम है, तेरा चलन अभेदा। नाच न जाने बापुरो, कहे आंगन टेढ़ा कबीरा, कहे आंगन टेढ़ा। The title to this verse is The Royal Path. Easily traversable is the Guru's path. Your conduct is crooked. पिया का मार्ग सुगम है, तेरा चलन अबेढ़ा. O fool, do not know how to dance, but complain the evenness of the stage. नाच न जाने बापुरो, कहे आंगन टेढ़ा. It's a very famous, at least the second half of the Doha is very famous. नाच न जाने आंगन टेढ़ा. So it's possible that this verse could be, or this Doha could be slightly misunderstood. We will ensure that doesn't happen. Now, when he talks of easily traversable, the Guru's path, is talking not about following the lifestyle of a Guru, but the path chosen by the Guru. Fundamentally, we have often been told, I've mentioned in some context or the other recently as well, that a student should separate the lifestyle, the life of a Guru from the teachings. So as a student, the Shishya should follow the teachings, not the lifestyle. Because each Guru lives a life which is unique to his nature, his swadharma, which may not be compatible to your nature or your personality. So you would try to, if you do that, if you follow his lifestyle, you would end up doing something which is against your natural inclination. In fact, you may end up doing enormous harm or damage to yourself. And also, if you want to follow someone literally, you follow everything that a Guru does, not conveniently choosing what you can and what you like. So it's like there are people, they used to quote the great Vivekananda and say, I am smoking because Vivekananda smoked, which is a fact. He used to apparently smoke. Therefore, I am also smoking because he smoked. Very convenient. Okay, you can smoke because he smoked, but you should also do all what he did. Along with it, you do it, and then you have justification to smoke as well. That is, you can't take bits and pieces and say conveniently choose what they did. So don't do anything what they do. You follow their teachings, you follow their preachings, you follow the truths, which is universal. No master ever contradicted themselves. So when he says easily traversable is the Guru's path, now I will explain why he says easily traversable. I will say that as well. But the Guru's path, I'm clarifying, the Guru's path here is not his lifestyle, but follow his teachings. Now, what is the path of the Guru? The Guru follows the path of the truth, which is the path of Shreya, the path of the good, vis-a-vis our path. Contrary to the path of the Guru, our path is the path of Preyaha, which is the path of the pleasant. So there is the path of the good, the path of the truth, the path of righteousness. On the other hand, you have the path of Preyaha, which is the path of the pleasant, which is the path of acquisition and enjoyment, which is the materiality and sensuality. So when Kabirji says that you follow the path of the Guru, you are being told to follow the path of the higher, not the path of the lower. Shreya vis-a-vis Preyaha. Now, is also beautifully conveyed through the Dhyana Shlokas, the third mantra, where he talks of Lord Krishna holding a cane in one hand and the Jnana Mudra in the other. Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Geetamruta Duhe Namaha. We fall back on this verse in the Dhyana Shlokas. He says, the Lord holds Jnana Mudra in one hand and the cane in the other. So the cane in one hand symbolizes a path of the lower, which is as a cowherd boy, Lord Krishna took the cattle to the pasture lands to graze. So the cattle symbolizes the senses, the pasture land symbolizes the areas of indulgences, the sense objects. So the cattle grazing symbolizes you are satisfying your sensual demands, and there is no end to your sensual demands. There is no sense organ that would say, thank you very much, how much would you give me? Your eyes want to see, your nose wants to smell, your tongue wants to taste. Your tongue will never say thank you very much. Temporarily it will say, again it will crave for more. Feeding into the senses, falling a prey to the senses is the path of the lower. In fact, just to ensure that you don't fall a prey to the senses, one of the most powerful practices that is prescribed is sense control, sense withdrawal. Sense control, sense withdrawal. Are you all able to hear me? I don't know why it's happening today. Gayatri, you should check, because it just keeps prompting even now. I think it's the fourth time it's happened from the morning I logged in. It's logging me out of the account. Somebody else is logging in with his account. So I don't know. So I hope there's no interruption. Somebody who has the credentials is logging in and it logs me out as a host. I hope there's no interruption. Maybe for security purposes, we will just change the passwords so that we have only within the inner circle. Okay. But everything is going seamlessly. Perfect. So the quality, those who don't practice withdrawal, self-control, sense control. Sense control is at the physical level, self-control is at the mental level. So the qualities that are prescribed is damaha and shamaha. So when you do not practice damaha and shamaha, you are falling a prey to your senses. And each one has a weakness for one particular sense organ, and then you are swept away. You go berserk, you have no control. So the one who indulges in the senses is a path of prayer. You are just caught up in the path of the pleasant. So one who wants to pursue the path of the higher doesn't fall a prey to the senses. Doesn't fall a prey. That doesn't mean you have to punish yourself of not contacting the senses. Please, you should, by all means, go and enjoy to the extent you think it is right. Please satisfy whatever you want to. But at the same time, to the extent not that the senses become the object of worship. So it should not blindfold you that you don't see anything beyond it. As we say, we all need money to live, but you don't live for the sake of money, isn't it? We all need resources to survive in this world, but you don't live only for the sake of acquiring resources. We all need to eat to live, but you don't live only to eat. There's a world of difference. So on and so forth. So when your purpose doesn't, so when your life's purpose is not drawn to the higher, when you don't seek the higher, then he says it's a crooked path. Now, put it in familiar terms. When you are upholding your conscience and you comfort your conscience, you live a path of the higher, Shreya. But when you confront your conscience, go against it, it is the path of prayer. First, I said the Guru's path is not his lifestyle, but the teachings. Then, okay, Ramji, what all have we said so far, sir?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskar, sir.
You said follow the teachings of Guru, not his lifestyle. Guru follows his lifestyle based on his Swadharma. Your lifestyle should be based on your own Swadharma. Okay, that is point number one. Point number two is that Guru follows the path of Shreya, which is the path of truth and righteousness. And we follow the path of prayer, which is based on acquisition and enjoyment. So to get out of this, prayer is sense control is the most important thing, and self-control. These two are important. Sense control is physical, self-control is mental. Damaha and Shamaha, these are called. Then you said, uphold your conscience, go with it. That is a part of Shreya. If you go against the conscience and what you call confront your conscience, then that is a prayer method of living. So the recommended one is the Shreya method of living.
Perfect, perfect. Right. Now let me ask Hirenji, when would you confront your conscience? So you should be very familiar. We've gone through this, but just ensuring I hear from you all so that we get it clarified. Yes, Hirenji.
Yeah. Can you please repeat the question? I was writing something and talking to my wife a little bit.
Right. Are you writing down her notes or my notes?
I'm listening to her notes and writing down your notes. Okay.
You are a man of great talent.
Oh, well.
So the question is, as Ramji rightly summarized, we said, when you uphold your conscience, you are the path of the pleasant. And when you confront your conscience, when you uphold your conscience, you are the path of the truth. When you confront your conscience, you are in the path of the pleasant. So the question is, when does one confront the conscience? As a principle, we are saying, because we are very clearly compartmentalizing. One who confronts his conscience leads the path of the pleasant, the path of the lower, which is prayer. So what is the logic behind that? What is the thought process that should convince you to accept it?
We are still at the stage of not going, renouncing our desires and our attachments. So we need to do that before we can move into strive to move into the next stage.
Absolutely right, sir. Very good, very good. You're still falling a prey to your desires and attachments, isn't it? Yes. So when you fall a prey to your desire, what does your mind do? Your mind constantly draws you outward. You become extroverted. Extroverted is running behind the desires and attachments. And the moment your mind draws you outward, exactly like Ravana fall a prey for Sita. Ravana's mind said, I like it, I want it. And the Shastras say, your mind is like the Ravana's mind. Watch out. If you don't control the mind, you are falling a prey to the Ravana within you. Remember that. It can just be your child coming and asking you. I remember Vaishnavi used to come at my desk and she used to take the stationery and clips and pens which were at my desk for my work. She'll come and take it because she used to like it. I used to tell her, you must try to be happy and contented with what pencil you have, not what is there at my desk. The same Ravana's mind, it can be as innocuous as wanting a clutch pencil or your eraser is better than mine. The same Ravana's mind, no, I'm not happy with what I have. So the moment the mind goes outward, it is the path of the pleasant. You're confronting a conscience. Now, why does your conscience doesn't support it?
Or that depends on the level of intellect and plus how much self-control you have gained.
No, just to extend in the same line of thought, sir. You said you confront is because you said you have not renounced the lower attachments and desires.
Yeah.
Now, further to it, I'm asking, why do you think that your conscience doesn't support? Or why do you think desire is against the conscience? As simple as, in fact, sorry if I'm confusing you, you answered it. It's just that the conscience doesn't support it is because you're taking a wrong direction. When you chase the desires, it takes you out into the world. When you follow the conscience, it takes you inward towards the self. That's the reason your conscience alerts. It's like, sir, when you set a direction in your GPS and you're going in the wrong direction, every time you're going further away from the direction, the GPS keeps alerting, take a U-turn in the next 600 meters, take a U-turn in the next 300 meters. You skip that, it will say, take a next U-turn in another kilometer. It will constantly keep telling you that you're in the wrong direction because there's no way you will reach that destination, which is the other way around, by going in the opposite direction. It will not come and comfort you. It'll always keep telling you, you're in the wrong direction. Turn around, turn around. The next possible turnaround is a few meters away. Turn there. If you still disregard it, conscience will become more vehement, more louder, and say, take a turn. You're going further away from your destination. Exactly the same way, when you follow the path of the pleasant, which is to run behind your desires, to live a life of acquisition, enjoyment. I want to acquire, enjoy the world, to lead a life of indulgences. Your conscience will not support, because conscience is a symbol, a reminder of the truth. In fact, conscience is said to be the messenger of truth. So if you don't follow the conscience, you're leading a life of falsehood, unrighteousness, the path of the lower. So the reason, what further I wanted to establish is, conscience is the messenger of God. It is that only element in you that takes you to the truth, is the conscience. Everything else takes you away from it. Everything in you is not designed to take you there. Conscience is inbuilt. GPS is trying to take you to get to the self. Inbuilt. So the best thing you can do is listen to that conscience, because you're born with it. You don't have to do anything to do anything to it. It is the same in everybody. Yes,
and
sir.
that means why do people do good things and bad things? So if everybody has the same kind of a conscience, so if somebody tries to do a bad thing, why his or her mind does not try to bring back to what is called good or better things?
A very straightforward question. If conscience is the same in everybody, why is everybody not following it? Am I right?
Yeah.
Why is everybody doing or perpetrating evil deeds? What happens to the conscience in those people? So there are only two possibilities. In fact, when you talk of a conscience, there are three possibilities. Okay. One is you either follow the conscience. Two is you heed it and don't follow it. Third, you don't listen to it at all.
Okay.
Can you please repeat, sir? Three possibilities. One is
you heed it but don't follow. When you heed it, that is the best path, of course. When you heed it, you don't follow. That is the second one. And third, you don't even heed it at all.
perfect. So people who take to evil deeds are the second and third category, where they know that they're doing the wrong thing, yet they're swayed or overwhelmed by the force within them to go and commit that sin.
Okay.
Second category. The third category are those that they don't even heed what the conscience is saying, but the conscience is saying, but I don't hear it. It's not that there's no conscience in them. Conscience is there, but they just can't hear the conscience.
Okay. Because is it that truth is always truth? Truth is one thing, right?
Truth is one thing.
For everybody.
Truth is one thing. Yes, it's the same.
Right. Okay. So some people, does it impact on somebody's upbringing or somebody's environment?
Yes, it is the upbringing, environment, the value systems, your thinking, all of these condition you to conduct yourself in a particular way. Like what you think is right may not be what for me is. What is wrong for me is right for you. What is wrong for you is right for me.
Okay.
Now, it is based on my conditioning, my upbringing. Let's say, sir, if I am born into a family which is very used to socializing, entertaining, guests, partying, every weekend we have many people, gathering and socializing, and every other day I'm in the club. For me, that's a norm. That is lifestyle. That is acceptable. So if I have seen my grandparents and my parents and my uncles and my cousins, everybody drinking. In fact, I've been invited to homes on festivities, on festival days in the morning hour, everybody gathered and they're drinking. I used to question, what festival is this? What is this happening? So when the little one sees, they think it is right. It's all right to drink. Now, what would his conscience say as he grows up and he becomes an example for his children? What would his conscience say whether he's doing that? He never found anything wrong in doing that. But if you ask me, is it right for me? My conscience says, how can I do that? I wouldn't go anywhere near it. But for him, it is right because of his value systems.
Mhm.
But is his conscience really supporting it? It's possible that he thinks it is right because either he's not heeding his conscience at all, or some ray of a thought comes in and says, am I really doing the right thing here? But then he quickly brushes it aside and say, hey, all my life I have seen people doing it, so I don't think anything wrong with it, so let's go on. You see that there could be a dilemma, or there is no thought at all. So just to compartmentalize the three categories, those who uphold the conscience and follow what conscience says are the sattvic people. Those people who heed the conscience and don't follow it are the rajasic people. Those who don't heed the conscience at all, they don't listen to the conscience at all, they don't hear the voice of the conscience, are the extremely tamasic people. No, what should be bothering you, what is bothering me is there is sattva, rajas, tamas in all of us. All three is there in all of us. So to the extent you're tamasic, you don't heed your conscience. To the extent you're rajasic, you are not following the conscience. To the extent you're sattvic, you are following your conscience. This should be bothering you, because these three aspects are there in all of us. And to that extent, we are not following the path of the Guru. The Guru follows the sattvic path. We are following the rajasic and tamasic path. Another interpretation to the same thing. When he says, Piya ka maragam sugama hai, tera chalana bedha. Your path is crooked, but the Guru's path is straightforward. Why? Because he upholds the truth at all times. He upholds his conscience at all times. Now, question I got to ask, in the course of my days, multitude of actions I perform, how many of my actions I'm upholding? Am I being truthful? Not to the world, sir. I'm saying how many actions am I truthful to myself? And you're truthful to yourself only when you're upholding your conscience.
Okay.
It's not how the world interprets you. It's how you feel after you do what you are obliged to do, what you think is right. Others may not understand. That's fair enough. That's their perspective. But how do you feel afterwards?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kashish.
Yes, Guruji.
Ashish, I want to ask you to understand how much you can relate to the concept of the second and third category, where we said, okay, can you just mention what are the three categories with reference to the conscience we said?
Yeah, you said there's the first one follows the conscience, that's sattvic. The second one listens to the conscience but does not heed it, is rajasic. And the third one cannot even hear the conscience at all, which is tamasic.
Okay, step by step. The second person who listens to the conscience and doesn't heed it, we said rajasic. Can you explain that? What do you understand by that?
I interpret that as someone who understands that in a situation, they understand that maybe they're not doing the most morally good thing, but they excuse it for whatever reason. It's like, oh, it's just one drink, it's just one mistake. Like you understand the concept of not doing the righteous thing or the morally good thing, but it doesn't alarm you as it should. You're just a bit lax about it.
What do you mean doesn't alarm you?
As in, when you're doing something that you think may be morally dubious, you don't go, oh my God, I might be a bad person for doing this. I probably shouldn't do this. I could hurt other people or myself. You just kind of go, well, it's one time, it's one thing. I'll make up for it later.
But still the conscience props up and alerts you that what you're doing is wrong, isn't it? There's a discomfort within you, isn't it?
Mm.
But to that extent, you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And what is it that causes you to commit that sin? It's degree. The level of sin one commits varies in degree. It's not, you're not committing a cardinal sin, not at that level, but even, it's like, thanks to Rajima, we had some samosas at house. And Vaishnavi comes, she didn't have her dinner. And there was one samosa left. And she said, come to the bedroom and she said, Mommy, I'm feeling hungry. I haven't had dinner. And then she said, I think there's one samosa there, go and have it. And it was at 9:15 at night. Now the question is, at 9:15, 9:30, is it good to have a samosa? So we told her, don't delay any further, go and quickly have it. If you keep contemplating, the samosa will be there in the fridge, nobody will eat it, but it may not be the right thing to do at 9:30 at night. Thereafter, next 10 minutes, you're going to bed. Is it the right thing to eat a samosa at night? See, you may wonder, why am I taking an example like that? But if you ask me, I would not do that. It's not whether I like to eat or not, but eating that at that time of the day, no way, because it is full of calories. It may be very satisfying, but it is not healthy for me. So I wouldn't do that. So one is the intellectual thing. And even let's say if I fall a prey to my tongue and temptation, my conscience will say, man, you're committing a sin, you should not do it. You know the consequences, you know what would happen, etc., etc. It's now how grave an error you're doing. But just eating a samosa at an odd time can cause your conscience to prop up and say, don't do it. It's as acute, as minute as even an emotion or a thought you entertain, isn't it?
Yeah. That's true.
So what compels you to commit this sin? I want that word, that single word.
Desire.
Desire compels you to commit sin. Now, what happens? The third category, white person cannot heed the conscience at all, cannot listen to the conscience.
Maybe they are just overwhelmed with their desires, or they mistakenly believe that the fact that they desire at all is a sign that they should follow those desires.
Correct. The desire overwhelms it, completely creates a maze or a mist around the conscience. It's like on a misty day, the sun is out, dazzling, but the mist covers it and you don't see the sun. And moment the clouds clear away the mist, you see the sun brilliant and dazzling. But that mighty sun is not seen because of a thick mist. Similarly, the conscience is, if in an extremely tamasic person, a lowest of person, the conscience is clouded by a thick veil of desires. And that thick veil of desires covers it that you can't even hear what the conscience is saying. Then nobody can help you. Then what is thy savior? Wonderful, Kashish. Lovely, always connecting with you. I want to ask this question to Srinivas Reddy Garu. In a person, I hope you are there, Reddy Garu. So in a person, the third category, where the veil of desires completely cloud your conscience, you don't even know whether you're doing the right thing or wrong. What is it that would alert that person that he's in the wrong direction? Because obviously there's nothing within that's telling you. And as you said yesterday, even when you tell to them, they don't heed. The question is, to the benefit of those who went there yesterday, there was a question which Reddy Garu asked, that when you try to educate people, they're not receptive to this idea. Then what do you do? So I'm referring in that context. So the question is, to a person who doesn't heed the conscience, how would they know that they're on the wrong path?
Pranam, Guruji.
Namaskar, sir.
As I understood, Guruji, now absolutely they are clouded. I think all veil of desires are covered. So they are not in a senses. I could say that, like, take an example, sorry to mention in this forum, like a corrupted official who knows that what is he doing is absolutely, what is he doing, maybe knowing to the world that is wrong, but for him it's not wrong. We keep doing. And that's one of the case study which I brought to your notice couple of weeks back session.
Correct.
How come that we are seeing so much of gross intelligence is happening, wrongdoing?
Mention it, sir. Mention the reference.
The reference is that just neighbor to my house, where there was an old age home.
I would not refer to that. If I could draw your attention to one of trustees of the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, the TTD.
Yes.
One of the trustees of the famous temple shrines, of the most auspicious shrines in the world, a trustee who's entrusted to run that institution, that organization, the temple, had siphoned crores and crores of money until he was caught. He was imprisoned, and they dug out all what we found was what was that? I'm referring to that, sir, if you don't mind.
Yes, it's about few kgs of gold, ornaments, the money, and so much unending things which they displayed. I think even the rooms were not sufficient enough to display those articles there. There's
they
so much
display his fond collection. All that which devotees go and offer their jewelry, this fellow has conveniently siphoned it off. Few kilograms of gold was found, a list of properties scattered all over, and then he is spending the rest of his life in prison. But these fellows find a way out to come out.
Yeah, is the sad part, Guruji, that after a gap of a year or so, he came back and again he took the position of the TTD board member.
Thanks to the blind superstition of the followers, you continue to do, not knowing what's going on. It's just the fate that it's going in the good hands, but not mindful at all what's happening. And you blindfold carry on doing that mechanical ritual. Again, I've been locked out. I hope I'm there. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you, Gayatri Ma.
And in fact, these incidents really put us back even to the best of the people who are sadhaks are trying to be an rajasic to sattvic also gives, as I raise my thought, is it really allowed this sort of a situation, sort of a persons to be in this world, such a ignorant way, a blatant way of taking the systems into the control?
So you will find all kinds of people. But sir, if I could bring the question back to the context. What would, if conscience can't educate you, if you can't learn from others' feedback, what could teach a lesson to these extreme tamasic people?
So we have to let go, let them, they have their own lives to live. There's no point wasting our energy and efforts in trying to correct, trying to get emotionalized by knowing all this.
Sir, my main concern is, I am not concerned of these tamasic fellows. My concern is there is an element of tamas in me also. I'm concerned of that proportion of tamas in me, and to that extent, I am also behaving the same way like the fellow of the trustee of TTD. That is my concern. I'm not concerned of the tamasic fellows out there. Let them live their lives. There is an element of tamas in me. And if I don't scrutinize and analyze how this tamas functions and how do I get out of it, I may be silently killing myself, silently doing the same wrong thing, which is being magnified by the example you have taken.
Exactly, Guruji. I think the one way of understanding why practice could be a reflection, self-reflection of the actions, may bring in some sort of a decisions which went, or it could be a more of tamasic in nature.
Sir, a tamasic fellow has no buddhi at all. Alpa buddhi he has got. No buddhi at all to reflect. He will continue to do what he thinks is right. He thinks, in fact, tamasic intellect, I was telling other day, a tamasic intellect, it interprets unrighteous as righteous. Adharma is dharma for a tamasic intellect.
That's true. That's
The
true.
only way a tamasic intellect wakes up is, I know you asked in some context earlier, you're punished not for the action, you're punished by your own action.
Yes, yes.
You're not committed for the sin, you're committed by your own sin. So your action itself punishes you. A time will come where you will not be able to carry on what you're doing. That's extreme situation. Action comes to a halt. That is when you'll wake up and say, oh my God. It's like if I have led an extremely indulgent life, an extremely reckless life, what will happen to my body? Each organ will start shutting down. I'll get a heart attack. I'll get a blood pressure. I'll get a blood sugar. So the moment, let's say at early stage of my life, I get the blood sugar I get. I know my friends and all, I know a couple of names come to my mind right away. Their blood sugar, they're much younger than me. In their early 30s, they got blood sugar. It could be hereditary, it could be a lifestyle, it could be, most of it, science says that you can get over it if you lead a healthy lifestyle. I know they led an unhealthy lifestyle. So thereafter, the moment they look at sweets, they're afraid. Why? Rest of their life, they can't go anywhere near sweet. You come to a point where you are alarmed, isn't it? So I go back to the fundamental concepts. You can educate yourself either through knowledge or through experience. The sattvic people learn through knowledge. The rajasic and tamasic people learn through experience. As we say, a wise man is one who learns from others' mistakes, and a fool from his own.
Perfect.
Question is, how wise are we and how foolish are we? And Sant Kabir is saying, easily traversable is the Guru's path. Your conduct is crooked, O fool. The question is, how many of us are following the path of the conscience? How many of us are following the path of the lower desires, and following the path of the lower. Okay, sir.
Okay,
The
sir.
point,
Thank you.
thank you. I wanted to bring out was where tamasic person, it's your own action that alerts you to a point where you can't continue. So action comes to a halt where you need to completely recast your whole approach to life and say, I got to reconsider what I have done so far. Am I doing the right thing? Because I can't continue the same way forward. Okay. Yes, Harish, I think you've been wanting to comment something. Please clarify, sir.
Hariam Guruji.
Hariam, Harish.
Guruji, you mentioned earlier that you are truthful to yourself when you uphold your conscience. But Guruji, we spent 2/3 of our day every day between work and home, with family and work colleagues, and many a times there is a very big difference of opinion and lifestyle of how we do things at work and at home. So when I'm trying to uphold my conscience and it doesn't align with somebody at home or at work, it gets rather difficult and challenging sometimes. How to deal with this, Guruji? Because my version and somebody else's version is very different many a times, but I am associated with them on a day-to-day basis at home and work. How do I maintain my stand of my conscience when it doesn't align or is not compatible with the people I am with most of the day? 2/3 of the day is at work. So this is the dilemma sometimes, Guruji. I want to know, how do we work through it on a day-to-day basis?
This only tests your conviction. If you are strong, your conviction will influence others. If you are weak, the Mahat will influence you. If you are strong within in your conviction to pursue a certain path, and if you are strong in that conviction and you uphold it, and what come may you want to live by it, everything around you will create and pave way for your progression. Nothing will interfere. As when we chant the invocation, the concluding portion of the invocation, invocatory prayer, we say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Three Shantis we chant. Why? Adi Bhautikam, Adi Dhaivikam, Adhyatmikam. Cosmic, terrestrial, within. So all these disturbances should not come in my way because I have embarked in this journey. I'm transacting with the Guru, trying to gain the highest knowledge. Let nothing come and disturb me. So you are up ahead, you are announcing to the world, I am not available, don't disturb me. Like temporarily for this 1 hour and a quarter, you have switched off your phones and say, I'm not available. You have told your secretary and say, no calls, nobody knocks at my door, nobody is disturbing the next hour or so. Have you not made your stance very clear? Yes. Nothing will come your way. Unless it's an emergency, she'll barge into your door and say, sir, there's an emergency, please. Fair enough, that's acceptable. Otherwise, you're not available for the world. The same spirit, if you uphold in your purpose of life, and if you want to reach and fulfill it, everything will fall in its place because you have embarked to seek the higher truth. The lower shall be provided, which is cooperation at home, cooperation from your professional front, society. Everything will support your cause because you are so strong in your conviction. Everything will be made available for your journey. But if you are weak, it is the Mahat around you will influence you. So the question is, how strong are you? How weak are you in this path, which the Kabir ji says the Guru's path, which is the path of upholding your conscience. So even in conducting your business, would you stoop down very easily? You compromise on your principles, or you say nothing come. If I may not get this offer, but I'll still uphold my principles. I will not compromise my principles. You may lose 2-3 offers. You may lose 2-3 contracts, but you have created a reputation that I will not do things the wrong way. How strong are you in your belief systems that I will not compromise? So, and as you build your strength, nothing around you influences you. Just like your body is constantly fighting the onslaught of germs and diseases, and the corona could be very close to you. But your body is constantly defending itself, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
The moment your body can't defend itself, you fall a victim. Exactly the same way, if you're spiritually strong and you believe in the path and you have the conviction and uphold it, you become the context of the famous staff of Moses. You know, remember the famous staff of Moses? All miracles he could achieve. He wanted to take the community across the river, and the river was in the high tide. No way anybody could cross. The story goes, with the famous staff, the river parted. There was an aisle. They could actually walk through the riverbed, and thereafter the river again flew. It is continued to flow. So it's things like those miracles happen. Everything seems to happen your way without wanting it to happen. The beauty is things will happen without wanting it to happen. Other thing is, I hope things happen. I hope it happens that way. You know, grumbling and complaining and wanting and asking and wishing. Where is that visa? Where is vis-a-vis not wanting about, not thinking about it, it'll happen. See, the Shastras talk of, since you take this example, I'm telling this, Harish. The many Shastras, even Upanishads, talk of rishis who were grihasthas. Grihastha, you understand?
No.
Who lived grihastha, you don't understand. Grihastha means, what is grihastha? They lived a life of family. They had their marriage. They were not sannyasis. They were not recluses. They were not ascetics, but they were men who lived a life in the woods with family. And their spouses, it could be men serving a woman serving a man, but their spouses served in the journey embarked by the other. So rishis had their wives serving them, and what the sage was doing, tapas and sadhana. The wife did not say, I want to be in the mall, I want to go shopping, I want to travel the world, I want to go for a holiday in Europe, I don't want to sit in the jungle. She didn't say that. Whatever my husband has embarked on, I will follow his footsteps, I will serve him, I will make what he needs, a little food, he wants little comfort, he wants this. She will make sure that all that is provided while he was concentrating on his sadhana. So grihasthas, they're men who lived a life of family where everything support. Now you're saying if there's a challenge within home, not taking it personally,
Yes.
because I know the entire family, I know your whole family, I know. So I don't see that way. But what I'm trying to say is, if your conviction is strong, everything will fall in its place. The question is, how strong is your conviction? It is the weak that need an environment. The strong create an environment wherever they go. The weak need satsang, as Setuji, I think, commented earlier. The weak need a satsang for their growth. The strong create an environment wherever they go. I hope you understand that.
Yes.
What do you understand of that, Harish? The weak need an environment for their growth. The strong create an environment wherever they go. Tinkima, please capture this statement and takeaways. I say many things, but I don't have the luxury to listen to myself and say this should come in the takeaway. Because takeaways depends on you all. What you think is right, you put it. I vet it and goes out. I don't remember what all I say, but this is a beautiful statement. It needs to be examined. What do you understand, Harish?
What I understand from his Guruji is that the weak are influenced, very easily influenced by where the environment that they're in. Whereas the strong do not need to be influenced by an environment. They already know what they're embarking on, irrespective.
So wherever they go, they create an environment and condition others to think along with you. Isn't it?
Yes.
So does it answer your question?
Yes, Guruji, perfectly. Thank you very much.
Most
Thank
welcome. Right. Thank you. Yes. GB Karo Garu.
Hari Om Guruji, Hari Om.
Jai Gurudev.
So the Satvik, Rajasik,
Jai
Tamasik,
Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Ah. Sir, you are the only one who greets me that way. I am tired of Hari Om, sir. Please.
So my
Yes, sir.
childhood, how the transformation Satvik to Rajasik, Rajasik to Tamasik. My village when I was there, 1958, 60, I am talking.
Sir,
My
I'm not born,
childhood.
sir. I can't relate to it, sir. What is this, sir? Very, very unfair, very bad of you to talk something I don't know.
Right. Those days, the only one family in the whole village, they are big enough, means 100 cows, 100 bulls, and having 100 acres land. That family started taking coffee. The whole village was surprised. What coffee? Coffee? How the coffee is? It is British style. How the coffee came to his family? Then slowly, one fellow started coffee tiffin center in the village. There is no question of any such words were not there. The whole village also surprised. What is that? You are not eating at home. You are going to a place where someone cooks and you are eating. What is someone? It became. Today you see the people, everyone except 1-2 families, all taking coffee, all going home. Food is not there, only hotels. How it changed the system? Because they think that someone who is having upper place, if you start doing, people think that is right. That is okay. It's not the right. Consciousness will tell, but they follow the same. Our vote. The power is given to us, and we think that if someone is gone to the jail, okay, it's a normal. Someone is, cheating everybody is a normal. So we are electing the majority like that. The people who are gone to a jail and still we are electing them. What is the value system has gone? To that extent, we are the Sattvic, you have to find where they. That is the level it has come. What I mean to say, the people whom you follow, drinking at home in front of children, it started, yes, it's common, like a public places drinking. These are all things which you be allowed. If you are not allowed, if you have fight that initial stage, it would have reduced the impact. So everybody is responsible today.
So not me, sir.
Yes, we
Don't put me also responsible, sir. Please, sir.
we are not fighting, no. We are not fighting.
Right.
We are just, you know,
Yes.
the fighting, only the revolutionary change is required today. Otherwise, just the Guruji is telling, okay, that time is fine, but once you go out,
After that, what? Right,
that
sir.
value system to keep the very few people are able to limit their, you know, the consciousness. They follow the consciousness. If they don't
Right.
follow the conscious, if they become thick skin, their thick skin we call, nothing will happen. They'll be by doing this, the people are supporting. By supporting people, they become that, you know, what I am doing is it is a common, bringing that common
It's acceptable. Yeah.
acceptable by many people. That's the, so
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Namaskar.
unless we fight against, nothing will change. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Yes, Rajima.
Guruji, you use the word Mahat. Does it mean conviction?
Mahat is opposed to conviction. Mahat is the environment around you, the totality around you. Now the question is the Mahat around you stronger than your conviction? Or is your conviction stronger than the Mahat or environment around you? The entire world, the world around you is materialistic and sensual. But is your conviction is to seek the self, to seek the truth, the path of Shreya. Now, does the world of materiality and sensuality dwarf your conviction? Or does it get dwarfed in front of your grand conviction? If you are strong in your conviction to seek the truth, the entire world of Mahat gets dwarfed. He said it is all rubbish. It's all, as Shakespeare says, he who steals my purse steals trash, he said. Actual words of Shakespeare. He said, he who steals my purse steals trash, means his value for wealth was rubbish, garbage. He didn't have any value to it. You're finding comfort and satisfaction in the all what you amassed. For him, it was trash. See, because for him, his values were so much to the higher, all the materiality didn't matter to him. So Mahat is environment. So the Mahat can only influence if your conviction is weak. If your conviction is strong, it easily overrides, overrules the Mahat around you. So Ma is like, a strong person will not be tempted. A weak person will easily be tempted, isn't it? If you have a strong intellect, you'll not fall for the temptation. Gayatri Ma, you remember that day we were sitting in a restaurant, and next to the table we were seated, there was a long row of display of sweets. Ilya?
Yes.
But Gayatri Ma was so strong, she said nothing doing, Guruji. She didn't fall a prey to any temptation. We said, Gayatri Ma, let's order one of the best of sweets and let's have. She said, get thee behind me, Guruji, she said. I will have none at thy offer. I will have nothing to do with it. So Ningla Ilya, correct, Ilya?
Yes.
So Gayatri Ma is an inspiration. She said, nothing doing. I will not fall for it. So, but if you're weak, what will happen?
Why not little?
No, then if you're weak, what will happen? The tongue will start watering. You know, when you look at these certain breeds of dogs, you know, their tongue is, you know, all the time, you know, dripping with saliva. And the Madri, oh, you're so nice. Look at that sweet. Look at this, so beautiful. You know, you'll fall for the temptation. If you are weak, the temptation will overwhelm you. If you are strong, the world will not disturb you. This is the symbolism, I'll explain in some other context. This is a symbolism why Rama hid behind a tree and shot Vali. I'll come back to this context another day. Vali symbolizes sense objects. Lord Rama hiding behind a tree and shooting Vali against the law of warfare those days. So Lord Rama is criticized. When two people are fighting, when Sugriva and Vali were fighting, Rama hid behind a tree and shot Vali. They said, how can Rama do that? And that too, Raghukula Rama, he is a king, he is a prince, and he was one who upholds the truth, and he shot behind a tree, hiding. The reason behind is Vali symbolizes sense objects. The moment you face a sense object, half your strength is gone. So you can't conquer a sense object when you are in midst of sense objects. So that's the reason I said, Ramji, what did I say? If you want to conquer a sense object, what should you do?
I didn't pick it up, but I suppose you said that you should not go near them. You should stay away from them.
No, practice the two qualities. What would you say?
Sorry, Guruji,
Damaha
I
and
lost it
Shamaha.
completely. Oh, okay. That what you. That is physical and mental control.
Withdrawal.
Sense control and self-control. Yeah.
Self-control at the physical level, as a sense control at the physical level, self-control at the mental level is symbolized by Rama hiding behind a tree. You withdraw from them to conquer the evil within, the sin within, isn't it? The desire within.
Yeah.
I'm just drawing connection from all these elements. If you see, I'm trying to pin all these various elements on the boards and tying a string to all these are connected. Isn't it, sir?
Guruji, there is also sometime you said that if you have some of those things without any attachment to them, that means when you don't have it in front of you, you don't miss it.
Are you talking of sweets by any chance, sir?
Yes, sir. Because I am.
I knew Gayatri.
I am attached only to sweets.
I knew where Ram is coming from.
So, if you, when it is there, you enjoy it. When it is not there, you don't feel for it. You don't feel the craving for it. That means you don't have an attachment for it. I mean, whether it is sweets or money or whether it is whatever other sensual pleasures. Is that also an acceptable thing, or is it grade B? Grade A is that you are not having it at all. But is grade B also an acceptable thing or not acceptable?
So you are above a grade A plus, sir. You are. Why putting grade B, sir? See, as long as, see, that's why I say self-control is not self-denial.
Yeah.
Sense control is not sense denial. You don't have to deny in the name of controlling your senses. So you can always enjoy any sense object as long as it doesn't interfere in your path or doesn't dislodge you from your attention on the higher. The moment something is becoming a distraction, impediment, quickly you say, I have got nothing to do with it. You dismiss it away. It means you will not fall a prey to it. So it is that very thin line.
Yeah.
You can't run away. Being spiritual doesn't mean you run away from the world, sir. You have to be in the marketplace. And when you're in the marketplace, there is a host of stimuli that comes your way. It's for you to use that discretion and say what to, what not to. So anything becomes an impediment, you say no to it. But otherwise, yes, you have a freedom to go out into the world. Sir, in the Gita, the second chapter, we talk of a kurmaha. A kurmaha is a tortoise. A tortoise goes in freedom. It moves around freely. But the moment it suspects danger, quickly it withdraws its limbs. The four apertures, the tail and the head, the four limbs, the six apertures has got the four limbs, the head and the tail, it quickly withdraws under the hard shell.
Yeah.
The hard shell is the intellect. The four limbs are the senses, tail, the five senses, and the mind. So 6 apertures are the 5 senses in the mind. So all the 5 senses and the mind are quickly drawn under the suzerainty of the intellect. And the intellect is ever exposed to the sun above, which is the shell is exposed to the light, which is the wisdom. So with the wisdom and the intellect, you're free to go around, but the moment you suspect danger, bring your senses and mind under the control of the intellect.
Yeah.
Hariji, what is the verse which talks of it? You have the reference of the verse? Chapter 2. And the verse of the Irika.
I will give you in 1 minute.
Yeah, don't mute Hariji. Immediately after giving, mute him immediately. Till then, don't mute him. Okay, Ramji. Wonderful, sir. Huh?
Thank you, sir.
So A+ category, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, sir. But you must share that sweets little bit once in a while, sir, also.
Definitely, sir.
And Ushama?
The more I share, the less I'll be
don't,
attached to it. Yes.
I didn't say that. You only said that. Huh? All right. Thank you.
Brief.
We just a couple of minutes more. We will. I think it comes in the Sthita Prajna section. Okay, meanwhile, as Hariji gets the actual reference, Hirenji, yes, sir, you've been. Yeah.
We talked about Tamasic, and when you ask the question, what would help these people to have conscience, right? And we brought into an example, as you said, that person from Tirupati or somewhere. It is easy to influence, or it is easy to ignore a common people, but a people of influence, like the person you referred to, and there are many other politics or whatever other people are there. And the current situation, I think the answer I got was that one has to realize himself or herself to go into the next stage of their belief, like from Tamasic to Rajasic and then beyond. But the person, like you gave the example, he was reinstated and he is back there. And there are many people like that, and that is more of a norm than yeah. So what do you do in those cases? Because if a person does that something problem like that, we can ignore it. But an influential person who can influence millions of people, actually, even Tirupati does it. So what do we do about it?
As Jibigara Garu said, we all have to stand up to the truth, create an environment where this wave of righteousness prevails. And, as in the Gita also it is said, there is always a balance of dharma and adharma. The famous verse, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanar bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyam. I am born again and again when there is a decline of dharma and adharma increases. Because of sheer demand for righteousness, a man of wisdom, a man of enlightenment comes and he offsets the balance, which is against dharma. When dharma is low and adharma is high, a man of realization comes. So in his lifespan, what he does, let's say adharma is 80% and dharma is only 20%. During the course of his life and his wisdom and his work, he makes from 80% adharma, he brings it to 30%, and 20% dharma becomes 70%. And again, when they go, again, slowly there's a decline of dharma and adharma increases. Again, when adharma increases, everybody realizes the need for value systems in a society. Again, a man of realization comes, a man of wisdom comes, set rights the imbalance. But no man, however great he is, can wipe out adharma completely, because dharma and adharma are integral part of the world. So we all should put our part to promote this wisdom, so that this wave of wisdom can shift the balance from adharma to dharma. So adharma declines and dharma rises. So we all have an opportunity to do what we can to promote this wisdom, because what we are trying to is to spread this truth, the righteousness, whatever way we can. It's not quantifying. It is the quality of work that you can to spread this wisdom. And then the dharma comes down, dharma rises. That's all we can do. Beyond that, we can't do anything. All right, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Hariji.
Hari Om. Guruji, I don't know whether my question is relevant to this class or not. In this connection, can we get into the topic of aggressively good and bad and passively good or bad? If yes, if you can highlight about it in the next class, I would be extremely grateful.
Okay. We'll take it up next week, certainly. Okay. But I would request you to drop this question when we start the session next week in this context. Okay.
I will do that.
Okay. And what's the reference of the verse?
58, verse 58.
How does it go?
Yada samharate chayam kurmangvaniva sarvasha indriyan indriyarthebhyaha tasya prajna pradishtita.
Tasya prajna pradishtita. Then his wisdom is established. Whose wisdom is established? Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvashaha indriyani indriyarthebhyaha tasya prajna pradishtita. So he says in the 58th verse of the second chapter, his wisdom is established. Whose wisdom? One who conducts himself like a Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvasha. So how does a man of wisdom function? He operates like a kurma, like a tortoise. So you go about freely. But no, I am very concerned, Kashish, of your smile. Whenever I say tortoise, you're smiling. Am I pronouncing it correctly or not? Unless you want me to say tortoise.
No,
How
Guruji,
a typical Indian would pronounce a tortoise.
no, you're pronouncing it very well. You just say it very cutely, that's all.
Oh my God, that's so sweet of you. So, but you know, a typical Indian way of saying a tortoise is a tortoise, isn't it? So a tortoise, as it moves about freely, but it withdraws its senses and the mind under the suzerainty of the intellect. So he brings about, he paints a picture of a wise person that way, Ramji. So it's not question about renunciation, is not physical renunciation, it's a mental value you drop for it. And then you go about freely. Why are you shackling yourself in a prison? You are a free bird. Let me know, sir. We'll both go out, sir. Now I've made it an open appointment. Now a lot of people will want to join us, sir. Never mind, we'll take them along, isn't it, sir? Thank you, Ji. Bhaskar Reddy Garu, I wanted to connect with you, but so happy to see you at the class, sir. Glad you could join, sir. Namaskaram. Right. Can you give access to Bhaskar Digaru, please? Yes, sir.
Another Jai Gurudev.
Namaskar, Jai Gurudev.
Namaste,
Right, sir. So
Guruji.
glad. Namaskar, sir.
Thank you.
Happy to have you. Namaskar. Thank you.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
come
be
back.
there. Thank you.
Look
Thank
forward. Look forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.